Welcome in to the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard Day the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor for Raider.
Good afternoon.
It is Monday, November 28th, 2022. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at the Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse. New videos will be appearing soon. Richard and I worked on something that we're excited about, and it should be done maybe at the end of the week.
I think so. That sounds about right.
In Charlie Day territory. Maybe toward the end of the week.
Pretty good.
And then I have an essay that I'm writing, a couple different essays compressed for the
It's
next
a book report.
Yes.
It's your thesis.
About where the red fern grows.
I love that book.
No, so that'll be up maybe next week sometime soon. But anyway, within proximity of today, we'll have new content on the channel. It's not podcast related. Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. Don't know if I did this yet. For $247.10, you can get your name in the credits. You can join our Discord server. You can get early access to videos. So once we are done with these videos, you can watch them before anybody else. Be a part of an exclusive club.
Get that first comment.
Get that first comment. That highly coveted first YouTube comment. Okay.
Gonna be like an emoji of a penis or something, or like a ASCII.
Hey, you'd be surprised what kind of things happen when you're a YouTuber with a small audience. You get all kinds of. When
we uploaded our music to on YouTube, we would always put first in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's funny.
We were the first commenter.
The other
Going
day,
to private first.
Yeah, essentially.
Oh, okay.
a couple months ago, I got one of my favorite comments I've ever gotten on any video ever. Okay, so in Halo 5, one of the themes of Halo 5,
The bad one.
is colonialism. That is just a fact. Okay, now we live in a culture where there are words that you say, and then people they disregard that word has a definition, and
Yes.
it's just, you said the word I don't like. You
A
must
buzzword.
be an SJW leftist socialist communist. so I dislike you. It's like, okay, wait. Anyway, so okay, that is a fact in Halo 5. You're Spartans, you show up at a colony, they think it's like federal oversight. Meanwhile, there's commentary. Okay, anyway, it's in Halo 5. So I was just pointing this out.
It's a literal colony.
It's a literal colony. So I'm just pointing this out in the video, how the previous Halos, I was comparing and contrasting with Halo Infinite and the previous Halos and the different themes and what they did and where they separated. And I just pissed some person off because some person was just like, I don't want some mediocre white leftist talking about Halo. And I'm like, dude, all I did was point out. I might as well said there are guns, because it's just a fact. It's
Well,
not
if you said there are guns, and you went, I don't want some radical right winger in my video games.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I started talking about that. I need to make a comment hall of fame where it's like the worst comments of all time. These people, they shut off their brains and vomited on their keyboard.
You can make it a quarterly video. Like just gather all the ones of that quarter and be like, hey. Sometimes
it's
The commenter hall of shame.
I'm going to talk about this for a little bit longer because we're just going to talk about God of War Ragnarok.
No, we're not.
Sometimes it's inseparable from Eric Andre stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen Eric Andre going around the RNC.
Yeah.
He had the hat that looked like a Make America Great Again hat, but it just said Make Santa White Again. And someone asked him about it. And Eric Andre, he's so good at saying ridiculous stuff with just a 1,000,000,000% straight face. But he's like, well, you have Black Santa? What's next? Chinese Santa? And anyway, just the way it sounds like a YouTube comment, just the way he says it. Who knows? He may have been the guy that commented on the video, and he just does that in his spare time for fun.
That'd be wild if it was.
That would be wild. Okay, so let's talk about Connor. Do you have any games?
Just Pokemon.
Just Pokemon?
Yeah.
Do you are you
I'm catching them all.
any bugs, anything like that, or
No.
no?
A few more just minor graphical issues, but
Okay.
Any fun though?
yeah,
Cool.
tons of fun.
Cool. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Glad you have found the fun. Okay. Anything else?
Sorry. One of the gym leaders is the character is written to be super bland, and I love him so much because they really lay into the joke that he's just a very normal, boring guy.
He's like the Colin Robinson of.
His name is Larry.
Larry. Okay.
And he is the normal type gym leader.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, awesome.
And he is the most bland human you could find. And it is hilarious.
I'm glad they found some time for some humor there.
Yeah, especially in a world where everything is fantastical.
Mhm.
It's just
Because one of the gym leaders is a streamer.
yeah.
One of them's the the sister of one of the
winner.
one of the, like a former X Games winner. One of them's the sister of one of the professors, and then
Missy Elliott.
you have Larry from accounting.
All right, that's awesome. That's good. It's like that scene in Deadpool 2 when Phil or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like Phil.
No,
I just saw the ad.
You're on the team.
You're in. Well, you're in. For X-Force. Richard.
Hey, I have not played God of War this week.
Okay.
Sorry, Christmas and work.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
In the meantime,
Thanksgiving?
huh? Yes.
Thanksgiving and work.
You know, it's all amalgamous.
Yeah, sure.
It's like
holiday season.
1 second after
Christmas.
one second after you like peel off the turkey leg, like Christmas lights are up. So
Peel off the turkey.
Chris-giving.
Like 1 second after you go trick or treating, Christmas lights are everywhere.
yes.
But anyway, I'm sorry. Not
When
to
you think about Halloween,
Christmas lights are going on.
while I was in bed, the short amount of time that I had, I was on my Switch. I feel like I have to talk about these two games I played. Since I have a modified Switch, I have a store and they have thumbnails, and I can look at the thumbnails and be like, okay, that looks interesting. And of course, anything with the female protagonist, I'm like, yeah, let's check that out. And then I'll look at it, and if it's a like platformer side scroller, I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. Like, download.
Sure.
And so there's two of them that I downloaded, and the first one was called I can't even pronounce this right. Demonaca, Demon-I-A-C-A, whatever. Anyways, so I started it up because the pixel art looks wonderful on it, and it looks pretty rad. So I downloaded, I checked it out. First off, this game loaded forever before I even got to the main menu, and I was kind of worried about that. But as soon as I started, I pressed new game, and it shows the character running as the opening cutscene. And as soon as the character started running, my mind went off, and I was like, I know this run. Like, this run is very familiar. Something is about it. Let me check. Let me, continue to play and see what's going on. And so I start to play, and I noticed that the controls are fairly unintuitive. So all of the face buttons are attacks. So you have like 2 punches and 2 kicks.
Okay.
Kind of like a fighting game, specifically like Tekken or Virtua Fighter. The trigger button is jump. And already I'm out. I'm like, okay, I will try to deal with this, but it's already not off to a good start.
Sure.
So as soon as I start moving with the character, she is very unresponsive. The way I use this is it's kind of like heavy to play, kind of like fat. So like, I'll, if I press forward, maybe like a quarter of a second later, like they start to move.
Okay.
And so it's, and then they're like kind of
Sludgy movement.
sludgy. That's a good word too. Very sludgy. But at the same time, my mind kept going off, and I was like, this is just so damn familiar. Like, what is going on? So I start to punch, I start to kick, and then it finally all like culminated. They used the sprite from King of Fighters, like the fighting game King of Fighters, one of the main characters, because she moves exactly the same, and she like attacks exactly the same, and the way she runs is exactly the same. And that's why I kept ticking like my head, because I was like, I know this, what's going on? So I tried to play for a little longer, and I might give it another shot, but it was less than a minute, and I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm done. I'm out. It didn't like make me mad or anything. I think it's kind of impressive that even though they used a character sprite and like movements, everything else around it, like they actually made a game. They didn't just like, palette swap everything or even reuse assets. They made a presumably cool game. I mean, it's just mixed reviews on Steam, it looks like, but I played that one, and I moved on to the next one I saw, which was a terrible name called Dire Vengeance, which is like, it's just boring, bland, run in the middle, like a Steven Seagal like film name.
Okay.
I started this one up.
Sorry, that's oddly specific.
Am I wrong?
But 100% accurate.
Would you prefer Jean-Claude Van Damme? Like,
they're both
interchangeable.
Yeah.
So I
One just does the splits.
I started playing the next one, which is called Dire Vengeance. And this one impressed me a lot more. Actually, I keep thinking about this game and I keep talking about it, so I might play it again. But another side scroller, female main character, but it was a little more medievalish gothy, or you know what, Victorian-esque gothy.
Yeah.
Castlevania.
Gothic. Yeah.
Gothic, yes. Castlevania-like. So I start playing it, and this one, the first thing that comes to my head is, goddamn, this game is ugly. Like, it is not a good-looking game. It's kind of not pre-rendered, but it just has that very terrible-looking 3D. However, I start to play it, and I notice that, one, it plays very, very similarly to, of course, Castlevania, because that's what all of these games are. Generally, the root of is what they're based off of. But it has a secondary mechanic, which is ripped from another series called Gradius, which is a side-scroller shooter for the NES. And this mechanic is, in Gradius, you would shoot ships that come your way, and sometimes there will be a line of red ships. If you shoot all of those at the end of it, it will give you a power-up. If you collect that power-up, you have 6 slots on the bottom. Usually it goes like speed, missile, beam, and like 2 others, and like a question mark, because it's like, what are you going to get? I don't know. So if I got one of those power-ups, speed up lights up. If I were to hit A and use it, it would use speed up, and I would speed up permanently for the rest of the time I'm alive. But I go back down to 0. I have to climb up again to continuously upgrade what I want. And so it uses that same mechanic of going through levels and kind of filling up this bar to acquire what you feel like you need to get through the level. And I thought that was really cool to kind of blend those two types of genres together, or at least mechanics. And the enemies are mostly skeletons so far, but the boss is really cool. And I was showing my coworker, I stopped playing because I only beat the first level, but I was showing my coworker this morning, and I showed him a trailer, and it turns out a lot of the bosses, like later on in that trailer, look pretty dang good and pretty varied. So I think I'm going to play it again because it's just on my mind. And I think that the entire time I was playing it, I had that kind of like, there's something here. Like there is something cool here, and it is cool to an extent, but it's not like Vampire Survivors where like everyone's going to want to play it. Like you have to like the right person has to talk about it or whatnot, or they go back to the drawing board or just refine it and come out with a sequel. And I think that it would do very, very well. But I played those two, and those are what I wanted to talk about because I just keep thinking about them.
Okay, cool.
I'll say some of the backgrounds do look beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. The character model looks ugly as sin, but
yeah, some of the enemy design does look very good.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's see. The only 2 games I played a little bit more of Marauders, which is a very fun. I talked about Marauders a few weeks ago, similar to Escape from Tarkov. You fly a spaceship into a space station, and then it's like a battle royale. You loot weapons and stuff like that, but you can jump out of your spaceship into escape pods, and you can breach other players' spaceships, and you can assault their spaceship and raid. And if you kill all the players, you can actually take their ship and escape, and you can escape with another player's spaceship and all their loot and stuff like that. Really fun multiplayer. It's really, I think, well done thus far. I don't know. I think it's early access, but it feels really solid thus far. I'm looking forward to playing it more.
Yes, early access.
Yeah, okay. And then God of War Ragnarok continues to blow my mind. God of War Ragnarok.
Can we put a spoiler tag? No, wait, no, I can't listen to what you're talking about. But what if I want to interject with something?
Let's put a spoiler tag right here.
All right.
And then we'll
deal with it later.
And then at this time frame, 20 minutes, 53 seconds. The spoilers will end.
There you go. That's very well done, Connor. How do you know the future? We don't know. I know how you know the future, actually. You talked with, we won't talk about that. Okay.
Wow.
Richard, what's yours?
Oh, no, sorry. So I am supposed to leave Vanaheim right now.
Okay. I'm much further.
Yeah, no, I'm aware you are, but I'm supposed to leave Vanaheim, and I, of course, like right before you leave, it's just like, here's like 10 side missions. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do them.
Hell yeah.
And so that's it.
Okay. Yeah, so I went and did a couple of those side missions, specifically the animal that's in pain that Atreus can sense.
In the elf world, in Alfheim.
In Alfheim, yeah. Oh, you said Vanaheim, I'm sorry. Yeah, in Alfheim. Vanaheim, I've done some of the side missions in Vanaheim. I don't know if I've done all of them. One of the themes of God of War is change. Not like Red Dead Redemption due to changing of social and economic systems, but I think change in people, because it's all about the nature of Kratos and the nature of Atreus, and whether these people are good, evil, somewhere in between, and if somebody who has done evil in their past can be forgiven or redeemed, and at what level. And that's a big part of Kratos' character in the second game, because Kratos opens up so much more in this one. He's definitely still Kratos, but there is a camaraderie with Mimir. There is a different way he approaches Atreus. And Atreus approaches Kratos differently as well. But when you, I'm telling you, when you start to dig into Odin's character, you're just going to lose it. Because Odin is seductive. He's clever. He's what's it called when you're able to convince somebody, when you're affable, I guess. And when you start to learn about his motivations, the game never explicitly says it, or maybe it does, but there will be a moment, and I'm telling you, so it's definitely going to be a moment, but there's going to be a moment where you're like, if we can forgive Kratos for the things that he's done, who are we to condemn Odin? And you're going to think, but you're not going to know, and I'm not even sure yet, of whether or not that's a justifiable equivalence, because it may not be. And as the story goes on, there's a little more to that. But it's such a good character study, and it spends so much time, all of the dialogue, just digging into these characters. It's so fulfilling, so engaging, so thought-provoking. I think it's the most I've been invested in learning about a character and seeing them develop since Red Dead Redemption 2. And Red Dead Redemption 2 had some of the best writing, I think, in any video game ever. And Ragnarok is right up there. And yeah, and every other way, the game continues to get better. I had something spoiled for me, which I was partially, and it was my own fault, which was partially disappointing. But I reached a point in the game where a major change in gameplay happens. I don't know if this change was shown in a trailer or not, but something happens, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just like, I don't understand how they're able to so smoothly and eloquently throw so many new folds into the combat and into gameplay, and it all just works. It works so well. I had trouble picking up the combat when the game started, but as the game has gone on now, and I've learned the movesets, and I can remember, okay, hold triangle with the axe, left trigger triangle with my blades and stuff like that. And now it's like I found synergies. So I'll pull an enemy toward me with my, scorpion, get over here move, and then I'll use my axe. My axe has a move where Kratos buries the axe head into an enemy's chest and then just tosses them. Yeah. So it's like you pull an enemy toward you and then you switch to the axe. Kratos just buries the axe into him and tosses him. Just a beautiful little synergy, and I'm sure there's dozens of those that you can. You
can say bury the hatchet. It's fine.
I'm sure there's dozens of those throughout the skill menu and stuff like that. But I mean, every single character has a sequence or moments where you get to know them better, where they say something where you know them at a deeper level. And in the first game, Brock and Sindri. The friction between the two of them. They're brothers. The difference. Sindri is a hypochondriac, right? Mm-hmm. Brock is, hey, kid, oh, fuck you. He's tough and rough.
Brash.
And this one, it's like you learn deeper layers of them. There's a more complex personalities that you uncover, and then those character moments are intertwined with character
Other
moments with
characters,
Kratos.
yeah.
So it's not just you're getting to know one character better, you're getting to know like 3 characters together better at the same time. And it's so well written that it's like the game is never boring, because in one moment the combat is phenomenal, the combat ends, and then Mimir says something, and there's like a 20-second conversation that you just think about for 5 minutes. It's like, oh, that was interesting. Anyway. So God of War Ragnarok is really good. I think it's better than the first one thus far. And the first one was amazing. God of War 2018 was incredible. But I think it's better. And that's completely unexpected. Like, we're talking Godfather Part 2, The Empire Strikes Back, God of War Ragnarok. Like, when we're talking about sequels.
Wow. I forgot Aliens.
Aliens. There you go. That's a good one. Thank you. I apologize, James Cameron. Aliens and Avatar: Way of Water. No, I'm just kidding.
Titanic 2.
No. Leonardo DiCaprio goes out to the Arctic with a flamethrower. This time, it's personal. Anyway, no.
In dire vengeance.
I just can't say enough. It's very good. And are we ready for to hit the ad? Hit the ad. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server.
Can I have my name in the credits?
Yes, you can.
Thanks.
That'd be weird because you're on the show. So the FTC is likely to challenge the Microsoft Activision-Blizzard acquisition. This is according to Politico's Josh Sisko, citing 3 people with knowledge. A lawsuit is not guaranteed, but the FTC is reviewing the deal and is skeptical of Microsoft's arguments. If the FTC does move ahead with the case, it could come as soon as next month. Reading straight from the story, quote, central to the FTC's concerns is whether acquiring Activision would give Microsoft an unfair boost in the video game market. Microsoft's Xbox is number 3 to the industry-leading Sony Interactive Entertainment and its PlayStation console. Sony, however, has emerged as the deal's primary opponent, telling the FTC and regulators in other countries that if Microsoft made hit games like Call of Duty exclusive to its platforms, Sony would be significantly disadvantaged. Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have until July to close the deal without renegotiating, and it's unlikely a lawsuit would be filed before then would be finished by then, which could lead to the deal being abandoned. So they're supposed to finish the deal by this month. But obviously, if a lawsuit gets filed, we're talking, I would assume it goes more than a year.
Yeah, longer.
So that would mean that it would postpone the finalizing of the deal indefinitely until that lawsuit gets resolved. I think what is your just gut reaction to this?
For some reason, I want to say, I wonder if Microsoft is announced this Activision Blizzard deal or tried to make this deal to kind of shake things up. That sounds stupid. I just realized it sounded stupid as soon as I said that.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, of course they made the deal to shake things up. Like, I mean, like in a... And I don't even have a good point to this, so I don't even know why I'm saying it. But like,
well, no, I think
specifically to shake up Activision Blizzard.
Okay.
Like to kind of.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
Well, I think. Okay, let me help you because I think I know the point you're trying to make. Because I think it's somewhat similar to the Epic move, right? With the Epic Game Store, is if you talk to Tim Sweeney's idea is, we're not just doing this to make money. We're doing this because we believe in this idea.
Right.
This idea of a more equitable, better PC gaming ecosystem, right? Now, if you talk to Phil Spencer, I think he's going to say the same thing, and he does. It's about players being able to play wherever they want to play. That's why we're not going to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation, because that's against our philosophy, right? I think that's what he would say. So I think, yeah, part of the reason that this deal is there is, one, mobile. You know, Microsoft wants Candy Crush.
Sure.
And two, because one of their arguments is that they believe in this philosophically, right? Now, we can debate whether or not we really think, like, I think Phil Spencer probably sincerely believes that. Does it everybody at Microsoft, does every executive that wants this deal to go through believe in that?
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, a lot of them, I think, just see Candy Crush and Call of Duty and say, wouldn't that be great? And I think that's the extent of it. But my gut reaction is I'm kind of glad, because I am partially blinded by the good moves Microsoft has made over the past 5 years or so. Because Game Pass, great. Bringing first-party titles to Game Pass, great. Making Game Pass available on the Xbox as well as the PC, great. A box that you can, I guess PlayStation did this too, but Xbox with its xCloud and stuff, and they're looking at like different modes of having a plastic box in your house. I think that's great. I think that versatility is great. I think the philosophy of, hey, this is our ecosystem, I think that's great as well. So I think Microsoft has made a lot of good moves, right? And that's why it has sort of the idea that they could have a say in Diablo going forward or Call of Duty going forward makes me extrapolate from that and think, okay, maybe they could have a positive impact there because they've had a positive impact elsewhere. Now, that's also naive, because large companies eating other large companies is never a good thing. And it's like guaranteed to eventually, I think, be a net negative. So I acknowledge that the positivity I feel toward the deal is definitely incorrect or wrong, or just based on this philosophical agreement I have with what Xbox is doing. So my gut reaction to this is like, yeah, I kind of hope it happens, because I don't want it to go through. and Microsoft and Phil, Spencer may never come on the show. You may say, hey, Tyler, screw you. I'm not talking to you ever again.
Xbox.
Thank you. You're moving your hand.
I know.
I don't. Shit, I lost it. Go. God damn it.
Take another hit of your coffee real quick.
No, it's not that, man. I swear I can quit. I swear I can quit. So the chatter I see online, because we've had articles like this in the last couple months. Like, oh, there will be a challenge. Like, there's a challenge in Europe and there's a challenge in South America.
Yeah.
And I go online, and no one's an expert online. Everybody's just people spouting shit. But just from past situations with other big companies absorbing big companies, we have learned that this always happens and never amounts to anything. Like, the deal always goes through regardless.
Okay.
So now it kind of comes to the point to where it's like, is it a deal that either one of them actually want to go through with? Because we do know that Microsoft has offered way more than what Activision is actually worth. Correct? I think.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'll believe you.
I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Thanks. But I wonder if Microsoft also, like, although I'm sure they do want the deal, I wonder if there's a part of them that will be okay with the deal falling through.
That's
as well.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know what the pluses or negatives to that are, but if someone like,
keep going.
If someone like, I don't care to remember his name, Kotick.
Bobby Kotick, sure.
If someone like Kotick is, I'm sure that if this deal goes through, he's done. Or at least I hope.
Yeah.
So I also hope that if this deal does fall through, he now understands that there could be other like companies that could swoop him up to
Okay.
put him on the chopping block.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I would, I don't know why. I think the reason I partially agree that I think Microsoft feeling fine if this deal falls through is because I think they've overplayed their hand with being in third place. Oh my God, we're in third place. Oh my God, Sony's the leader. Oh my God, we're in third place. It's like, come on, you're Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got Windows, and your only real competitor with computers doesn't know what a video game is. So it's like, you're fine.
It's also terrible because it's like, Burger King and Jack in the Box complaining that they're in second and third place.
Yeah, exactly.
The end result is that they're all making shitloads of money.
Yeah. So I think they've overplayed their hand there. I think it's not a great argument to make. I think the FTC is right to be skeptical about it. And so if they were to lose out on this, they can find a mobile. I think they can find mobile elsewhere. They can buy I don't follow the mobile space, but I'm assuming there's like a gajillion mobile studios just shitting out games every 12 seconds that they could scoop up to make microtransactions from. Now, are there many that are as lucrative and as big as Candy Crush with the backing of Activision-Blizzard that come with Call of Duty? No. Mm-hmm. But if they can't do this, I'm sure they could find some to satisfy that desire. And we know that that's a big part of this deal because Phil Spencer has said that himself, that the mobile angle is a big part of this deal. Now, Spencer, again, personally may say, but what's disappointing is we wanted to play Call of Duty, and that's the philosophical angle. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand that may be, there may be people in the Microsoft camp that from that perspective are disappointed. But yeah, I think I would tend to agree with that just based on it. It feels like you could probably find another way to buy acquire like a mobile publisher.
Right. Yeah. So it's like they got distracted. They were trying to catch the small fish in the pond. They got distracted by the bigger fish. The small fish being King,
sure.
Bigger fish being Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
If Microsoft really wanted to, if they wanted to be in the mobile space, why couldn't they just buy King from Activision?
Oh man, that's a good question. But I assume that there's contractual stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But even then, the other two options are buy one or several smaller developers. Who the hell makes puzzles and zombies? Like that's like one of the top 5 games, and it's like some no-name studio. Like probably I don't know.
Right.
Buy them. Buy the people who make Castle Royale or whatever. That's the first option. Your second option is to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And neither of the three want to do it themselves. Well, not that Sony really cares. Sony doesn't seem to care about mobile, really.
We know that they want to lean into it.
They might be interested, but
they're not leaning into it as hard
chomping
as
at the bit.
2K has buying Zynga or as Microsoft has.
Right.
Obviously.
PlayStation is more. I think PlayStation has the eye on the bigger prize, quote unquote, and that's just creating free to play live service games for their main attraction,
which is the console.
The console. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would agree.
And then Nintendo has tried, but they kind of half-ass those things. So
and again, Nintendo, it's its own thing.
Right. But they don't. Yeah, once again, they don't want to. It's just they're peer pressured to by everyone else.
There's the games industry, and then there's Nintendo game industry.
Yeah. It's like an appendage that's just like on its side, all by itself. What's that tail? What's that residual tail humans have? That's Nintendo.
Coccyx.
I don't remember what it's called.
But for a few things. As of last Friday, Activision Blizzard's net worth is based off of the company's stock price, and the number of outstanding shares is set at $57.5 billion.
And Microsoft bought them at $80 billion, right? Or $70 billion?
60 something.
Oh, trying to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe a little overvalued. And but I don't know if that. I don't know how overvalued relatively. I don't know if $5 billion more is a big deal or is whatever. We'll throw in another $5 billion. I don't know.
Yeah.
And for buying up another mobile app developer, you listed off a few like the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Those ones are already owned.
Well, yeah.
None of those are independent.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure.
Like Castle Royale is owned by Tencent.
I figured. I figured
that's going to be your big. That's going to be your big competitor. That's a good point. Tencent's going to be your big competitor.
All of those, like all the highly profitable ones, have already been bought. So you're going to have to go for one that is breaking into the market and hasn't been bought yet.
Yeah, I completely forgot
which
about
is going to be
Tencent.
a harder sell. You're
Sure.
going to have to do a lot more legwork.
Hey, sometimes you got to cultivate things, man.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do want to bring up about this whole situation is I think you mentioned Sony or Microsoft overplaying their hand. I think Sony is way overplaying their hand by saying, look, if they get Call of Duty, we're fucked. Because here's the thing. Microsoft has zero incentive to pull Call of Duty from Sony.
I think so too.
Because them leaving that on there, all it does is say, hey, Sony, now you have to pay us. Not directly because, it's still sales coming from the game, but Sony isn't getting as large of a cut as they want from that sale.
Yeah.
That is why Sony doesn't want this to go through, because they don't want Microsoft cutting in on that profit.
And that's the same argument, Richard, that you've made about Bethesda games, right? Is Elder Scrolls, 7? Is that the next one? Or 6?
Six.
Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. It doesn't make sense to make it, at least you would think it doesn't make sense to make it an Xbox ecosystem exclusive, because PlayStation is, with the PS5, Elder Scrolls 6 is going to come out 2025, is what people will say right now, like 2024.
As of right now, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, but it's not. I assume it's either going to be at the tail end of the PS5,
or
at the very beginning of the PS6.
Yeah, because they're still on Starfield. Yeah,
they're still on Starfield at the very beginning of the PS6, right? So already the install base of PlayStation is just is demolishing the Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's too dramatic, but it's definitely bigger, right?
Well, I don't know if it's too dramatic because that's what Microsoft keeps claiming.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. If you listen to Microsoft, they're that guy in Red Dead Redemption who's like alms for the poor.
Oh yes, that guy.
Actually, that's Baldur's Gate. No, but shit. What was I saying? We gotta rewind. Dang it! I made a deep cut Baldur's Gate reference. Oh, what you were saying about Bethesda. Yeah. If PlayStation has a bigger install base, it doesn't make sense to take what would be one of the biggest games of the next 10 years, Elder Scrolls 6, away from that install base if you own that game.
Right.
Or if you're going to benefit from that game. That wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, Connor, I think you're correct.
Also,
with Call of Duty being a similar case.
You have to remember the previous major Elder Scrolls title, Skyrim, how well it did on PS3, PS4.
Yep.
Which was significantly less than it sold on Xbox and PC.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
because,
right. Yeah. Well, because that was the PS3 era, and the PS3 was
PS3
a joke,
only had around 6.8 million copies sold on PS3.
Do you know the number off the top of your head, or
I just looked it up?
Okay.
360 had 13.7 million copies sold.
Yeah, so that's double. Yeah.
So automatically, right there, even if it goes exclusive, which again it won't, because Microsoft has zero incentive to pull games from Sony, because now they're just making money off of another revenue stream that they have to put zero input on.
Sure.
It's not even comparatively, it's half of what they can expect to get from their own ecosystem.
Yeah.
So pulling Bethesda games from Sony isn't going to be that detrimental, because Bethesda games don't sell well on Sony.
Well, but that's what we're arguing. I'm arguing the flip side of that. Mm-hmm. Just because something is true doesn't mean it's always going to be true.
Yeah.
And so that's the case. Like, yeah, the PS3, but the 360 had a better install base. The script has flipped.
Yeah.
So now the PlayStation has a better install base. So if you are Bethesda and you make Elder Scrolls 6 and you're Microsoft, you don't want to take that away from PlayStation, because while you're not making the same money that you're making when somebody buys it on a PlayStation, you still benefit from that. So you're still generating revenue somehow through that, right? So you don't want to siphon it away because the script has flipped, right? Now, if the script somehow flips again and all of a sudden Xbox is outselling Sony by a whole bunch, then things may be interesting. I don't know. But anyway, to cap this all off, unless someone wants to say anything, I still think that it's just, I like the idea that the deal doesn't go through. Just because, I don't know, companies getting big, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it when companies buy things, even if they're companies that I think have a positive direction toward the future. It still makes me still like, I don't know. Still makes
The
me
illusion of choice.
Richard,
Hey.
what's going on at Embracer?
Hey, Embracer Group has taken mobile games down.
Oh boy.
All of them.
How dare
Say goodbye to them. No.
Embracer Group has acquired Earth in its latest purchase.
Oh no!
In a $6 trillion purchase.
For a cool $2 million.
Square Enix sold the Earth to Embracer Group for a can of Coke, 5 pennies, and a grilled cheese sandwich.
That's a good deal.
Yosuke Matsuda said, now that we're owned by Embracer Group,
we can proceed to do nothing. Anyways, just to rewind a little bit, when Embracer Group had bought Square Enix's Western Studios from them, as we just made a joke about, that included several Square Enix, that included Square Enix Montreal, which was a mobile developer. Square Enix Montreal then became Onoma, which Embracer closed early in November. I made a tidbit about that, and then like a week later, they closed down or whatever. Yep. Now, games from the studio that Montreal, formerly Montreal, and then Onoma had made are being taken down, but people who already own them won't be able to play them. So it's just being shut off regardless. This includes Arena Battle Champions, Deus Ex Go, Hitman Sniper, The Shadows, and Space Invaders Hidden Heroes. They will be removed from the app stores on December 1st, and current players will lose access on January 4th.
Okay. Everybody knows that.
Hey, developers of Onoma, I hear Microsoft is looking for a mobile team.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Well, but I'm pretty sure Embracer said some of these people were given opportunities to move on to other studios and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't think they were completely cut off. I don't remember exactly, but it's weird. Two things we just talked about, right? Exactly, Connor. It's weird that Embracer, everybody else is frothing at the mouth, just completely losing their shit.
Trying to get their fingers into the mobile market.
They're like a Vulcan in the middle of Pon Far trying to get... No, that's a really good reference.
It is.
They're like a Vulcan in the middle of Pon Far trying to get a mobile developer. And meanwhile, Embrace is just like, we don't give a shit. They freaking shut it down, which makes no sense. And two, as much as I dislike mobile games and I have lots of opinions and I'm not special about that... game preservation, Mr. Incredible. Game preservation is game preservation. And if you're going to have an archive and spend millions of dollars on it, you just can't take games down. And it's also, I don't know why. Does it cost anything? I mean, I guess maintaining the game.
Yeah, maintaining it.
But just leaving the game up, does that cost anything?
You know, I don't know because I have a lot of games from 360, PS3 era that I just download.
Yeah,
because I own them, and even the Wii has there's servers. I don't know if that's the correct word for it, but you could whatever you've bought, you can go back to the store, what exists now, and just re-download that stuff. The only exception I know of is PT. Like you just can't.
Oh yeah,
find it or play it. I'm sorry. Ah. But I know I had I'm like Simpsons game was taken down, but I can still go re-download that because I already bought it before.
That's what I mean.
But it's this weird thing, and it really sucks, particularly with mobile games, because unfortunately, I don't think people believe mobile games are real games, and that's whoever you talk to, you can argue with them about it.
Yes,
but if I get some sort of interactive enjoyment out of it, it's a game.
Sure, definitely.
Not in the traditional sense, but yeah, this has been something with cell phones since the mid 2000s, like when we would have rudimentary games that you could buy from stores on your flip phones, which I have before. Like you can't access those anymore. Mm-hmm. There are, I brought it up 4 times tonight, but I'm bringing it up again. There's a Castlevania game, an exclusive one on old cell phones, on like the Ketone cell phones
so weird.
That you can't get anymore. Like no one knows exists. Like, except for me, because I'm weird. Well, Castlevania, but like, yeah, like it's a lost chapter that you just can't get anymore. It's just not available anywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten only worse for mobile games with the inclusion of always online games.
Sure.
And I don't know how or when it'll get better.
Yeah. That's the scary thing about games about always online games is I would assume the cost for upkeep there is more than something like Hades.
Yeah.
Where it's like Hades is a finite experience. Like there's only so much you're going to do in Hades.
Yeah.
As opposed to Destiny 2, where Destiny 2, you could just keep playing because they add stuff to it and whatever. Yeah, that's the scare, especially with how many of these, like Marauders, is a multiplayer only game, smaller developer.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if, God forbid, that developer has to shut down one day?
Mm-hmm.
Does Marauders just disappear? And that really sucks, The remake of Star Wars Battlefront, I don't think is playable anymore. I don't remember.
It is.
It is, but I assume it's probably difficult to find a game.
Right, yes,
I remember in the past trying to find a game and it was difficult.
Right, we already have the Titanfall is a great example.
Yeah.
Titanfall is a great
But
example
if
of
you
not
go
being able
back
to find a game.
yeah, so it's like there are multiplayer games that because they just lost audiences, they are, and because they were so multiplayer centric, that they're almost unplayable now, just by nature of there being no people. And I guess that's a bit of a different issue. But anyway, did you...
Tinfoil hat time.
Oh boy. Okay.
What if, a little bit down the road, Embracer Group releases their own, like, not necessarily store, but their own store page, I guess, that has all their, like, because they're all about game preservation, all their canceled game titles in there.
That would be great.
That would be ideal.
Yes. You would say that would be ideal, but it's not like quite at that level because the ideal would be putting it on all of them.
Yeah.
But like it's right below. It's just like, well, this is good enough.
Yeah.
At least we have them.
Like given the current situation,
Yes,
that is ideal.
That is ideal. Yes.
Yeah, I think and preservation, so that's a scaled back version because that's preservation within the context of a corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the real version of preservation is this game is available as much as it can be made available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, unfortunately, with like ROMs and stuff, that means you got to go to a website, right? So it's not super accessible. I had to have somebody help me with not downloading ROMs because I don't do that because I only do things that are legal. Or actually, downloading ROMs is legal, but I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't do it.
Yes, as long as you have an actual physical copy of that game.
I do.
Good.
Because you said that I could have the one at your store.
Yeah, just go in there and get it.
Just whenever I want.
Yep.
And I could insert the disc
totally
into
have it. I saw it in
my
the other
Steam
room.
Deck through the Steam Deck's CD port.
Might just have to edit this part out.
We're all kidding.
Morally correct to steal from Nintendo.
It is morally correct to steal from Nintendo. Anyway, I don't know where
Do your
we're-
part. Fight back against big Nintendo.
But anyway, preservation is preservation. Preservation is preservation. It doesn't matter if it's Clash of Clans, it needs to be preserved because it's a video game. Even if I despise it, Dungeon Master Mobile or whatever, the one where you have to you pay like $1 billion to dig through the mine or whatever. Preservation.
Dungeon Keeper.
Dungeon Keeper, yes.
Yeah, Dungeon Keeper. Okay, are we?
Real quick, devil's advocate about specifically Deus Ex Go and Hitman Sniper. I don't know much about Arena Battle or Space. Well, I do know much about Space Invaders, but I'm not putting that in this example. I do wonder, and this is once again devil's advocate, if they are taking those two down. Well, they're taking all of them down, but specifically Deus Ex Go and Hitman Sniper are the biggest ones. To like kind of not dilute the series as much with like other games that don't matter besides big ones they may want to focus on from now on.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put Space Invaders in there because like 3 Space Invaders come out like every week. I'm not gonna not gonna play any of them. But that was probably a bad example. But I was just musing about that.
No, I understand. I get it.
I got tidbits.
A man discusses the news, but not like the big news, the little news. Little bit. This is the Tidbits.
I don't have my tidbits page up. There it is.
Scandalous.
Yeah, no, scandalous. I'm usually ready. James Gunn has given an update about DC Universe video games. The famed director, James Gunn, who is notable for Guardians of the Galaxy films, the second Suicide Squad film, and plenty more other indie films before those, has now accepted the role as head of DC Studios. That essentially means that he'll be making decisions regarding films and other media for DC, which includes video games. And over on Twitter, while taking questions, the user asked if this means all future DC games will be connected with the film's universes. Gunn simply replied with a quick yes. and I don't know if I like that.
No, I dislike that a lot.
Yeah.
I really dislike that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure you can make a good game based on a DC movie, but one of the benefits of the how the Marvel universe works right now is that we have like a Spider-Man universe that exists on PlayStation, just like comic books. Yep. There isn't one definitive Spider-Man. There isn't one definitive Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think that's great because you can take different creative ways of looking at things. So I hate that it would be limited to, even if those games are good, how awesome would it be if they actually made a game where Superman was evil and you had to take him out as Batman or something like that, you know?
It's the Suicide Squad.
I think that would be great. Is that the Suicide Squad game?
Yeah.
Oh, well then that's amazing. And that wouldn't exist if it was based on the movies, because I'm pretty sure the movies, Superman isn't evil in any of them.
What was the exact wording of the question again?
They just asked if all future DC games will be connected with the film universes.
Okay. Him just saying yes is a very vague answer.
Okay.
Because how would you define connected? Or do you mean full integration as in it is a one-to-one like parallel, like the games follow parts of the story, stuff like that? Or is it they're connected as in you're playing as, I can't think of a DC hero right now. Blue Beetle, he's DC, right?
Yeah, he's Beetle.
Yeah. Blue Beetle game comes out and he picks up a movie, like a DVD case, and it's Batman v Superman. He's like, oh, this movie was trash, and tosses it to the side. Are they connected like that, or are they connected to where it is one universe?
I guess you could finagle with the definition of connected.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe I overreacted a bit, but
well, I mean, yeah, the wording of that news story and everything, it prompts that type of reaction. So
sure.
And
I just clickbaited you, buddy.
All of it's left intentionally vague.
I'm not a good journalist anymore.
How dare you?
I'm not a good journalism.
Quit your job.
I did that today. I was scrolling for like news bits, and like there was a couple that I saw, and I was like, but before I clicked, I was like, I already know what this is about. God damn it! Like they almost had me, but it's anyways.
Mad Max meme. That's bait.
Right, that's bait. I love this story. Mass Effect 3 has an unofficial alternate ending.
Oh, Jesus.
More of a joke ending, but years, of course, after the finale of Mass Effect Trilogy, ex-BioWare dev Violet McVinney decided to reveal something of a tradition that she had while creating some of these games. Over on Twitter, McVinney said, quote, "So I had an interesting habit when I worked at BioWare. The day after we finished making the game, I would always throw together a quick video envisioning what it would be like if our characters would just kiss and make up. I need to find the Dragon Age version again." Is that the end quote? Sharing the video, which I'll try to find for you guys. It shows Commander Shepard getting up from the wreckage of like the explosion at the end. And then he just proceeds to like run like past multiple of like characters and locales like through all the games until he finally ends up like just like passionately kissing with the elusive man. And all the while explosions are going off in the background.
Hell yeah.
It is. I watched it because I was like, let me see it, and I ended up laughing.
Talking about that as the canon ending.
Yeah, yes, sir. I ended up laughing very hard at the video. It was very well done.
That's great.
And then Sony.
Was it color coded?
What?
Was it color coded?
Yeah. No.
Damn.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that.
Oh, because you had the red, green, blue ending. What was the color ending?
Color coded. Duh. This is a pride flag.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, sir. Which was already then kind of. Sony has banned shovelware. All shovelware. It's all banned.
Poor Shovel Knight.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. Damn, God, you're quick with it. At least on the PS Store or the PlayStation Store, throughout the years, there have been way too many games that plague not only the Sony Store, but Nintendo and Steam as well. Sony has put their foot down. They say no more. From here on out, games that do not adhere to a new policy change or are of a certain quality have been purged from the PSN and will no longer be allowed back. These also include games that have seemingly easy trophies to attain. According to a letter obtained by developers, Sony says, quote, "Sony Interactive Entertainment strives to ensure that customers can search and discover the full breadth of experiences on PlayStation, and that partners have a fair means of being discovered. When partners oversaturate or spam PlayStation Store with many variants of the same type of content, it can negatively impact both the customer and the partner experience."
Interesting.
End quote.
Sony's always had the thing, like the word on the street was always like, oh man, Sony's got it locked down. That was really never true. Like there was the same kind of junk on the PlayStation Store that there is on Steam, and like at the beginning of the Switch days, it was sort of similar. The Switch was sort of a nice, but then eventually a bunch of this bad stuff got on the Switch, so it's kind of the same thing. But it would be nice if stores cracked down a little bit more. I wouldn't mind that.
That would be great,
especially Steam. But anyway,
now the whole easily obtainable trophies thing, I know it's going to be a lot more in depth than just. But I know that a lot of companies will partially use achievements, trophies, what have you, as trackers to if people are actually playing the game or not. Because there are very easily obtainable trophies that are like you get within like the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And that just notes to the developers, oh, this many people have played because this many people that own the game have hit this achievement.
Right, yeah, the percentages, yeah.
So I know it's going to be a little bit more in-depth and easily attainable, but I'd like to know a little bit more on that.
I would assume Sony probably has a way of like making distinctions. Of course, I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
I would assume
it's a gray area right now because they, at least in that, they haven't clarified what they mean by easily attainable.
Yeah,
if they just mean the full thing as easily attainable,
it sucks because
one trophy,
right? With like press release stuff like that, they're not gonna. We don't know the full damn story, and so we never will. Maybe, who knows?
Is that for?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it for tidbits.
Is it for tidbits? Okay. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. You can donate and get your name in the credits and see videos early and stuff. New videos coming up soon. Hopefully, definitely by the end of the next week, maybe before the end of this week. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.